the type of man that he is. I think it's very important, that your staff is cohesive because it trickles down to your players. Down at the coaches convention, I spent an awful lot of time talking to different head coaches across the country and talking about culture, which is kind of the big catchphrase nowadays. And talking with all these head coaches, and when they talked about culture, not one of them mentioned their players or their team. It was all their coaching staff, trying to keep their coaching staff together, putting a new coaching staff together, guys leaving, all of that stuff, and how important it is to have that cohesiveness with your coaching staff. And, when I met Sean, when I first got here and went over there and met him, he's just one of those guys that you just kind of know instantly his character. There's no hidden agendas. There's nothing behind anything. It's, what he says is the truth. Very similar to Herm. Everything that he says, that's what you're getting. And he's going to fit perfectly in with this staff. And, the recruiting piece is, that's awesome. That's extra. But just the type of guy that he is, and he's very, very, very smart. We've had some great conversations about scheme and things like that, so I'm extremely excited about adding him.
Coach Chris Carbon, Son of a Source.
Hello, Chris.
How are you? When you look at just the style differences of the quarterbacks that you have,
yep.
How does that shape what you decide to do with installs and just getting things going?
Yeah, it's so what you want to do is kind of put things together that you're going to run no matter who the quarterback was, in a game. So you kind of go backwards in thinking that through and try to get your base stuff in. I think that you have plenty of time in fall camp to start curtailing your offense towards specific things, towards different quarterbacks' ability. So, we're going to get our basic drop back passes in the spring, our basic quick game in, our basic run plays. And, there'll be times where, if third week, fourth week into spring, certain quarterbacks are in there, you may want to call more zone reads, you may want to call more protected RPOs and protect the edges and hand the ball off and throw off of second-level defenders instead of, defensive ends and nickel backs and things like that. So, I think it's it's not going to be all that hard. We're just going to work on getting our base stuff in. One thing I would like to do is since all the skill guys are the same, is work on a lot of different formations.
Hunter Rubino, Devil's Digest.
Hey, how's it going,
Rob? As far as the dynamic between having a brand new quarterback or a less experienced quarterback versus the wide receivers group, does it make it easier or harder to evaluate what the wide receivers can do, or are you just really just concentrating on them executing routes, blocking, whatever other assignments they need to execute, regardless of the quarterback being green or not?
Yeah, just the experience I've had coaching receivers and being around some really good ones, and we talk to the kids an awful lot about this, is you're building your resume no matter if you run a great post corner and the ball hits the fence over there and you have no shot at it, man, we're grading you off of that post corner route you just ran. It's not yes, there is a piece to that where, contested catches, that's where you see your playmakers, something that Nikhil was great at, and if you never, if you just graded Nikhil off of this, you may not know how great of a player he was until he got a chance to get that thing in his hands. But as far as, grading all the receivers and their improvement, that's all going to be done off of routes on air, filming all of that stuff, looking at their routes, looking at their effort, looking at how they block, and I think you can see their improvement there.
Coach Richard Science,
Hey,
Fox
Richard.
10. When you look at these quarterbacks that are fighting for a position here, they're all really good. Is this a good problem to have to kind of figure out which one is going to rise to the top? And does a guy like Dylan have an advantage because he's been here a little bit longer?
Well, he does have a slight advantage because he'll be comfortable, but that advantage will slowly go away when the other quarterbacks get comfortable, and then you're going to really see, I think, hopefully, who the guy is. So yes, to answer that question, there will be. And what was the first part of your question? Oh yeah. Yeah, you know, to me, it's a great problem to have. There are going to have to be, in the future, some of those little stomach-turning hard conversations with people, because sooner or later, me and Herm, we're going to have to tell one of them, you're not the starter, and that's going to be very hard. And not looking forward to that day, but it's part of the job, and it's going to have to be done. But man, it's just like baseball, man. You got like 7 starting pitchers on your team, man. You only pick 5 of them, and so somebody's going to be left out. And it's just going to make, I think it's going to make everybody better as far as their preparation going into practice.
Rob, there's been a lot of excitement over the offseason about the 3 freshman quarterbacks.
Yeah.
How has Dylan handled that? He's kind of the forgotten guy, and yet he's been around here the longest. How has he handled that?
He's done an amazing job. He's really trying to take the leadership role by the horns. His communication with me is outstanding all the time, because obviously, you know, we're on the road during the recruiting season, so we're not here. I don't get to see him work out, don't get to see him do any of that stuff. But he's texting me all the time, hey, Coach, what do we want to do today? What do we want to talk to the quarterbacks about? Because they run their own player-led meetings, and they all, you know, they watch film together and all those things. So that part of it, he's doing a great job of trying to become that leader. So I haven't seen any animosity. He's kind of taken the guys under his wing. You know, the first day, you know, you could have cut the tension, you know, in the room with a knife. It was hilarious. You know, and I was like, guys, look, you know, this doesn't have to be the United States-Russian Cold War up in here. You know what I'm saying? You're allowed to talk to each other, man. And then after that day, you know, we're allowed to do occasional meals. And so we went out to eat. I took the quarterbacks out to eat to a restaurant, and we all hung out and broke the ice, and they all started talking, and it's been good since then. Well, it's just they don't, you know, they came in, and, you know, they're all just like this. They're looking around, and, you know, Dylan's like, oh, okay, these are the 3 little pups trying to take my job, and these other 3 guys are sitting around looking at each other. I wonder if I'm better than him. And it was just funny. And they weren't talking to each other, and I went down to the cafeteria, and they were all sitting separate or just by themselves looking around. And but now they're sitting together and having a great time. So,
just following up on that, Coach, are there certain skills or qualities that are really important? So, for example, obviously teams are going to probably try to stop, you know, Benjamin and give you man coverage a lot. So is it being able to beat man coverage? Is it operational quickness? What are the things that you prioritize?
You know, just looking at some cut-ups from our film from last season, you know, obviously towards the end of the year, looking at the Oregon game, looking at the Arizona game, they're going to give you throws. They're going to give you shots at touchdowns. Now, you got to complete them, and those shots are going to be behind the secondary. And you know, that's the biggest difference. I've been doing a big study on the Patriots, the Rams, and the Chiefs in this offseason, and watching their offenses. And the biggest difference between college football and the NFL is the NFL respects the speed of the receivers, and they're going to do everything they can to take away the big play behind them, and they're going to give you the short stuff. College, they don't give you the short stuff anymore. Everybody's taking that away. They're walking up and they're going, okay, throw the ball behind me and do it for 4 quarters, because I don't think you can do it. And so what I'm looking for is a quarterback that can do that can make those throws. And then when it's crunch time, Chris, this is the tough thing when you're calling plays, is when you have the lead, and say you have a six-point lead, but there's 5 minutes left to go in the game, and you look down there and you go, man, they're giving me that touchdown shot. Do I take that shot? It's incomplete, the clock stops running, they don't use their timeouts, and so that's the game that's played. And so the more confidence that you have in that signal caller and the guy throwing that ball, the more times you're going to go ahead and call that shot. And that's the kind of quarterback I'm looking for, is a guy that I have ultimate trust in, that I know I can take that shot at this point in time in the game.
Hey, Coach. Cheerson,
Hey.
Cell 12 News. Just going back to the quarterback situation, have you guys...
Did we ever leave it?
Just remaining at the quarterback situation, continuing the conversation, have you guys asked Dylan to step up and be a leader in the quarterback room, even though he is competing with the rest of the guys?
Oh, yes. I expect that, and that's what a team is all about. If you listen to anything that Bill Belichick has been saying all week, Man, it's the unselfishness of a team. If everybody is for themselves, you're never going to have that culture you're looking for. It's just not going to happen. Sooner or later, somebody's got to be unselfish in the room. And just like if Dylan doesn't win the job, what is he going to do? If Jaden doesn't win the job, what is he going to do? If Joey Yellen, if Ethan, what is he, and it's in those moments that you're going to kind of find out, are they going to be rooting for each other? And that's what I told him. It was one of the first things I said. Man, I'm telling you, I better look on the sideline, and one of the quarterbacks makes a great throw, I better see you cheering for him. Because that's the culture that Herm is setting here. That's what we're going to live and die by. And so you better be cheering for your brother, help him. And I expected Dylan, to answer your question, to help those young guys out, to teach them the offense, to teach them the drills. Just like Manny did this whole last year during individual period. Manny would make sure he would get on to Dylan. He would get on to the other quarterbacks. You're not doing it right. This is the way it's supposed to be done. And I expect that out of Dylan right from the first practice.
Coach Joe Pequeno, Arizona's
Hey,
family.
Joe.
Good morning, Coach. Non-quarterback question. I want to get your thoughts on Benjamin. Such a tremendous year last year. What do you expect from him to take it up another notch? And is Ayuk, he's shown some flashes
Yes.
as well, being a superstar receiver.
Yes.
Does he take that next step? Can he be the next N'Keal Harry of this program?
He better. And I talked to him. Great question. Had that conversation with him 2 days ago in the cafeteria. And, I compared him a little bit to Quentin Patton, the guy I had at Louisiana Tech. Was a junior college transfer. In his first year, he was good. He was just a good, solid player. The next year, he was, one of the was up for the Biletnikoff Award and was all-conference All-American, got drafted in the 4th round. And a great player. Caught over 100 balls for us. He's a very similar type guy. You should, all right? If he does his job and we do our jobs, he better be better this year, So I'm looking for a significant jump from him, and I've told him that. Eno, talk to him too. His biggest step next is in the pass game. His routes need to be better. He needs to treat the details of his assignment in the pass game exactly like he does on run plays. He has to become a complete player. And so that's kind of his charge for this spring.